And we are following breaking news out of the NFL where the Baker Mayfield saga in Cleveland has now come to an end. Our Jonathan Jones confirming that he has been traded to the Carolina Panthers. He says the details of the trade, Baker Mayfield to the Panthers for a 2024 conditional fifth-round pick that could turn into a fourth. That per sources, it is $8 million in cap relief for the Browns. Of course, Baker Mayfield requesting a trade just after the Browns confirming that they were bringing in Deshaun Watson here as their new QB1, former Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall draft pick, spent 4 seasons there in Cleveland, leading them to the playoffs in 2020. Now in Carolina, will join a quarterback room that includes Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Let's bring in 2-time Super Bowl winner Bryant McFadden here to talk about this breaking news. The Baker Mayfield saga now done, B-Mac, headed to Carolina from the Browns. What do you make of this news?
I like this move for the Panthers, and here's why. Clearly, the organization, Amanda, they're not sold on Sam Darnold. I think there's no one sold on Sam Darnold. He's been very, very inconsistent throughout his professional career. Getting a new opportunity there in Carolina, he hasn't really taken advantage of that said opportunity. So me personally, being able to improve the room when it comes to competition was a necessity for the Panthers. And if Baker Mayfield is healthy, I think he's the best quarterback on their roster.
I was about to say, give me your pecking order now of the quarterbacks. Who starts at the beginning of the season?
I think Baker starts. I think Baker starts. And the reason why I say that, granted, he's been inconsistent as well, but he's shown the ability to win ball games. He's shown the ability to get his team in the postseason, to become relevant. And I understand people are saying, well, this team in Cleveland that he was a part of, that team in Cleveland that he was a part of was more about running the football. But Baker made plays. I mean, the year before last, Baker made plays. You saw that was during the playoff game in Pittsburgh. And there were basically a penalty that was not called away from advancing to the AFC Championship game in that road game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So Baker has shown more to me than Sam Darnold, and I think once he gets acclimated to their offense and understanding what they want him to do as a passer, I think he will evolve to be the number 1 guy when the season starts.
B-Mac, put yourself in the shoes of Baker Mayfield right now, because you talked about getting acclimated there. I mean, there's been so much drama. This wasn't just requesting a trade. This is bringing in Deshaun Watson. He's been sitting there, didn't know if he was going to get moved. I mean, this has been a lot of drama for one player in particular. How does he bounce back from that when he does join this camp?
Just win ball games. I think that's the most important thing for Baker. Number 1, earn the starting job. Number 2, win ball games. Show the organization, your past organization, that they made a huge mistake. And granted, Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. We've seen that. But the issue with Deshaun Watson is not on the field, it's more off the field. But yet and still, the Browns wanted to gamble and take a chance on Deshaun Watson because they felt like he is the missing piece for their organization. And guess what? The man that was kicked on the outside was Baker Mayfield. And you better believe he has a grudge on his shoulder. He's a guy that believes in holding grudges. And up until this point, that's why he's been so motivated getting to this level in his professional career and being as successful as he's been. So me personally, for Baker, just go out and play football. Number 1, he has to be healthy. That's the most important thing. Being healthy and staying healthy, and then allowing that health to warrant production on the football field.
B-Mac, let's talk about that grudge that Baker Mayfield has. He's always played like he has a chip on his shoulder. Let's look at week 1 here with his new team. And who are they facing? The Cleveland Browns. They're in Carolina. What is going to go down in this game, B-Mac?
Well, emotions will be high for Baker Mayfield, especially if he is starting. I mean, if he's not starting, this won't be a big deal. But if he is starting, if they make the announcement that Baker Mayfield won the starting job before week 1, you better believe we all will be talking about this upcoming matchup. This will be a highlighted matchup based on the revenge factor for Baker Mayfield. But that is to be determined, right? Because we don't know exactly how he's going to look in a Panthers uniform. We don't know how fast he will get acclimated to look comfortable to win that starting job. But I love it. I love the narrative when it comes to getting the season kicked off, seen an opportunity for Cleveland to play against the quarterback, they said, you're not good enough for us anymore. So they decided to trade him away for basically a bag of chips. They didn't get a lot for a guy who went #1 overall just a few years ago, but that tells you how bad they wanted to get rid of the player, and they were able to do so today. But Baker has this circled already on this schedule. You already know he has this ball game circled. Even though he hasn't stepped foot on the football field with his new teammates, he believes this is an opportunity for him to go ahead and stick a fork into that Browns organization and turn it a little bit just to kind of show you, I told you so.
We've already seen him plant a flag before, that's for sure, B-Mac.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the Browns now. Look, we're all waiting to find out what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson here. You got Jacoby Brissett. Do they bring in someone else now, or is it just a wait and see?
It's a wait and see with Deshaun Watson. We all believe Deshaun will be suspended to some degree. Now, the length of that suspension is something that we're waiting to find out. And I think the Browns are doing the same thing. They're playing the waiting game. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, Amanda, Deshaun gets a full year suspension, right? You just got a conditional 5th round that could turn into a 4th round pick from the trade with Baker Mayfield. Now, Jacoby Brissett is a guy who's been in the league for quite some time, but as a starter, he hasn't really shown that flash that he can carry an organization for a year. So if you're Cleveland and everything checks out medically with Jimmy Garoppolo, would you consider maybe utilizing one of those that pick you got in the Baker Mayfield trade to ship off to San Francisco if he's healthy? Because I think looking at Jacoby Brissett as a starting quarterback, I mean, that's not playoff-like numbers. And a lot of that was not solely on Jacoby Brissett, but he just hasn't shown the ability to get a team that he is leading to the playoffs. The Browns are trying to get it to the playoffs. This playoffs is a bust for the Browns, regardless who the quarterback is. But if Deshaun is suspended for a full year, I wonder, will the Browns organization, especially if everything checks out medically with Jimmy Garoppolo, and basically say, Jimmy, you got 1 year to prove it. You got 1 year to prove it. You know what I mean? This is the opportunity for you to come in, earn a job, and lead us for a full year with the suspension. Hypothetically speaking, if Deshaun gets 1 full year, maybe that can really enhance the playoff chances for the Browns more so than not making a move for Jimmy Garoppolo if they just stay put with Jacoby Brissett. Who knows?
All right, let's go back to the Carolina Panthers now with Baker Mayfield in the fold. Of course, we're not entirely sure if he will be starting this season, but he is there now along with Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Regular season wins for them as of right now set at 6.5. They are the 3rd favorite team to win the NFC South. Obviously, you have the Bucs there. How much does this change maybe some of their odds for you?
Well, before hearing the news today, I felt like they would go over 6.5. And the reason why I felt that way is because whoever the quarterback is a better quarterback when Christian McCaffrey is in the lineup, right? When he is in the lineup, the quarterback plays better, the entire offense plays better. So I'm making this pick under the assumption that CMC will be healthy. So if you have Baker Mayfield, you really have to like their chances. When you look at their schedule, the Cleveland Browns, if they play Cleveland without Deshaun Watson, especially at home, who knows what could happen, especially when you look at the young studs they have on their defense. The Giants, I mean, let's keep it real. It's a lot of turnover going on with the Giants. The Saints, the Cardinals, 49ers, a very, very sticky-like schedule. But I think they can go ahead and get 7 wins. I really love their defense. I mean, you look at Derek Brown, you look at Spider-Man, Brian Burns, talented pass rusher. You look at the secondary, Dante Jackson, J.C. Horn, you get Chin back, you got Shaq Thompson. Man, they got some studs on the defensive end that can potentially cause a lot of nightmares for the opposing offenses they're going against. But if you add Baker Mayfield to a healthy Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you got to really like their chances. And the best way to get to 7 wins, you got to get to 1. And guess who they play week 1? The Cleveland Browns.
Can't wait for that game. And of course, when it comes to Christian McCaffrey and Baker Mayfield, health is the key there. The Panthers haven't made it to the postseason since 2017. Maybe this will help them this season. B-Mac, thank you so much. Breaking news when it comes to Baker Mayfield there. B-Mac, he's got a podcast, if you didn't know, along with his cousin, current player Patrick Peterson. They're all things covered. You saw his shirt. Make sure to download and follow. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.